Secrets that burn. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of wet earth and alien blooms. The girl moved carefully through the fields, her mind restless, her heart heavy. She could not shake the feeling that something was hidden, a truth too heavy to speak. The human worked beside her, quiet, focused, unaware of the storm building in her thoughts. She had trusted him completely, shared meals, stories, even laughter. Yet the shadows of curiosity grew, urging her to uncover what he would not say. Late that night, while he slept, she wandered to the edge of the cabin. There, hidden under a loose floorboard, she found a small metallic box. Curiosity burned in her chest as she lifted it, fingers trembling. Inside were fragments of documents, old photographs, and strange glowing symbols. Her breath caught as she realized what they meant. The human had not always been a farmer, not always a protector. He had been part of something far larger, far darker, something connected to the gangs, the city, perhaps even the violence she had fled. A chill ran through her veins as she pieced together the truth. He had chosen this life, this farm, as a sanctuary, a place to atone for what he had done. The girl felt a swirl of emotions, fear, betrayal, awe, and confusion. Could she still trust him, knowing he had a past filled with danger? Would the shadows she had fought so hard to escape return, drawn by his history? The human stirred in the cabin, and she quickly replaced the box. Heart hammering, morning came, but the weight of the secret pressed on her like a stone. She moved among the crops with practiced hands, yet her mind spun with questions. Finally, as the sun rose higher, she could not keep silence any longer. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, voice trembling, eyes searching his. He looked at her, calm but pained, as if expecting this moment. "Because some truths are dangerous," he said softly, "and I wanted to protect you, not frighten you." She felt the storm of fear and anger clash inside her. "Protect me," she whispered, "or hide from the past you can't escape." He knelt beside her, placing hands gently on hers, grounding her. "I have made mistakes, terrible mistakes," he admitted, "but I chose this farm, this life, to make them right." The girl's eyes softened, yet doubt lingered, a fragile thread of uncertainty. Could she forgive the past, trust the present, and believe in the future? The day stretched on, tense but silent, as if the farm itself waited for her decision. By evening, she stood beside the glowing pond, staring at her reflection. She realized that trust was not blind, that strength came from choice, not fear, and she made her decision, small but powerful. She turned to him, determination burning in her eyes. "I will stay," she said firmly, "because what we have here, this life, is worth the risk." The human nodded, understanding the courage it took to say those words. A wind rustled through the fields, carrying a promise of challenges yet to come. But for now, the girl knew she had chosen hope over fear, trust over doubt, and love over isolation. Night fell, the alien plants shimmering softly under twin moons. They stood together, not as protector and rescued, but as equals, bound by survival, trust, and the unspoken promise of what tomorrow might bring. Secrets among the crops. The morning sun painted the farm in golden hues, soft and warm. The alien girl moved among the glowing crops, her hands skilled and steady. The events of the previous night lingered in her mind, a mix of fear and exhilaration. She had faced the shadows of her past, and for the first time, she felt a strange pride, but curiosity gnawed at her, a new question forming in her chest. Who was this human really? Why had he saved her? Why had he risked everything for a stranger? She watched him silently, noticing the way his eyes scanned the fields with care, the way his hands worked, rough but precise, as if they had tended far more than just plants. Sometimes, he seemed lost in thought, a shadow crossing his face. She wanted to ask, but fear stopped her. Fear of breaking his trust, fear of the unknown. Finally, as they rested near a small glowing pond, she gathered courage. "Why did you help me?" she asked quietly, voice almost lost in the hum of the fields. The human looked at her, eyes soft but unreadable. "I help because I can," he said simply. "Because someone had to, and because I believe in second chances." The girl tilted her head, sensing there was more beneath his words. "Second chances?" she repeated, curiosity stronger than caution. He nodded slowly. "We all carry mistakes, shadows from our past. I've made many." Her heart tightened, realizing that even he had a life full of unknown dangers and regrets. She wanted to know more, to understand the man who had given her everything, but he did not speak further, leaving the mystery intact. The silence stretched between them, comfortable yet heavy with unspoken truths. Days passed and the girl's routine became a rhythm, a dance with the glowing crops. By day, she worked tirelessly, learning to nurture life rather than steal it. By night, she rested beside the human, sharing small meals and singing to quiet conversations. Each moment revealed fragments of trust, understanding, and unspoken connection. She began to notice small acts, the way he ensured the crops were untouched by pests, the way he repaired the cabin's roof with care, never rushing, always precise, and the way he looked at her sometimes as if reading the smallest change in her expression. Yet, life on the farm was not without challenge. One evening, a violent storm rolled over the valley, winds howling and rain lashing the fields. The girl clung to the human, frightened but determined. They worked together, securing the crops, tying down fragile stems, shielding the glowing plants from the storm. Her hands were raw, her clothes soaked, but she did not complain. For the first time, she realized that struggle could be shared, that she did not have to face hardship alone. The storm raged through the night, but by dawn, the farm survived, battered but alive. The girl looked around, awe filling her chest, the fields shimmering under the pale morning light, and she understood something she had never felt before. She was part of something bigger, something alive, not just surviving, but growing, trusting, belonging. The human placed a hand on her shoulder, quiet and reassuring. "You have learned well," he said, "not just about work, but about life." She looked up at him, eyes wide, feeling a warmth she could not name. Somewhere deep inside, a promise formed, a silent vow to protect this life, this farm, and the man who had saved her. She did not yet know what the future held, what dangers or secrets remained, but for the first time, she felt ready, not alone, and strong. Shadows from the city. The farm was quiet, bathed in the soft glow of the alien plants. The girl moved through the fields with practiced hands, the rhythm of work calming her. She had grown stronger, more confident, yet a part of her remained alert, always listening, always waiting. The human watched her from the edge of the fields, his eyes scanning the horizon. Something about today felt different, heavier, as if the wind carried warnings she could not name. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed through the valley, soft at first, then louder. She froze, her hands gripping the glowing leaves tightly, heart pounding. "What is it?" she whispered, eyes wide, turning to the human. He didn't answer immediately, his gaze fixed on the dark outlines of the city beyond. "Trouble," he said finally, voice low. "People from your old life may have found this place." Fear wrapped around her chest like iron chains. She had hoped the city would never find her, that the streets would remain a memory. But now the shadows she had fled were approaching, and there was no way to run. The human stepped closer, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. "Stay close," he commanded, calm but firm. "And remember what you have learned here." She nodded, trembling, as figures emerged from the mist, ragged and familiar, a gang from the city, their eyes sharp and hungry, scanning the fields for her. "Run," the leader barked, recognizing her immediately. But she did not run. She had learned something stronger than fear. Her hands, skilled from weeks of work, clenched the stalks of glowing crops like weapons. The human stood beside her, tall and unyielding, eyes burning with quiet power. The gang hesitated, sensing something different about this place, something dangerous. "You think we will leave without taking her back?" one hissed, stepping forward. The girl's stomach twisted, but she did not back. Down. She remembered the warmth of the cabin, the gentle words of the human, the hope she had found. She squared her shoulders, planting her feet firmly, ready to fight if necessary. The human raised a hand, and a low hum vibrated through the air. The alien plants pulsed, their glow intensifying, a strange energy rising from the soil. The gang stepped back instinctively, fear flickering in their eyes. "You leave now," the human said, voice carrying like a storm, "or you will face consequences you cannot imagine." The girl's heart raced, fear still there, but mixed with a new strength. She realized she had never felt so safe, so powerful, protected by someone who truly cared. The gang hesitated, looking at each other, unsure. Finally, they turned and retreated, shadows swallowed by the city's mist. The girl exhaled, trembling, as relief washed over her. The human placed a hand on her head gently. "You did well," he said softly. "I knew you could face them." She looked up at him, awe and gratitude mixing with lingering fear. For the first time, she felt that danger could come and go. But the farm, this life, and the human's trust would endure. As night fell, the glowing plants shimmered softly around them. She realized that she had changed, that her fear no longer controlled her. The city's shadows had chased her, but she had stood her ground, and she knew that whatever came next, she was no longer alone. She had learned to survive differently, by working, by trusting, and by standing firm. When it mattered most, she smiled faintly, the first real smile in months, and whispered to herself, "I belong here, I belong." Hard days, quiet nights. The first morning on the farm was colder than she expected. The twin suns had not yet risen fully, and a thin fog covered the glowing alien crops. The girl shivered, rubbing her arms, feeling the unfamiliar chill bite into her skin. She looked around nervously, wondering how she would survive this new life. The human handed her a pair of gloves, worn but clean. "You'll need these," he said calmly. She nodded silently, unsure whether she could meet his expectations, her stomach twisted with hunger and nerves. Every step on the soft soil felt heavier than the last. She had never worked like this before, never followed anyone's instructions without fear. The city had been a place of running, hiding, and stealing, and now she had to plant, water, and harvest. The human moved beside her, demonstrating how to handle the alien plants. "Gentle but firm," he said. "Treat them like life, not tools." The girl tried to copy him, fingers fumbling as she touched the strange glowing leaves. She pricked herself on the thorn-like edges, gasping in pain. The human smiled faintly. "Everyone makes mistakes. Learn from them." Despite her fear, she began to understand the rhythm of the farm, the quiet pulse of life around her. Hours passed, her body ached, her hands blistered, but a strange satisfaction grew inside her. She had worked before, but never for herself, never for someone who wanted to help. The crops thrived under her care, and a small pride blossomed in her chest. When the suns dipped below the horizon, she returned to the cabin, exhausted. The human had already prepared a meal, warm and filling, steaming slightly in the cool evening air. She hesitated, unsure if it was right to eat without earning it. "You earned it," he said simply, and she realized she had never felt trust like this before. They sat in silence, the faint glow from the alien plants, outside casting soft shadows across the walls. For the first time, she felt safe, the constant fear of city streets fading into memory. Her heart still carried old scars, but the warmth in the cabin began to soothe them. Night after night, she returned to the cabin, sharing small stories about her life. The human listened quietly, never judging, never demanding more than honesty. Sometimes he spoke of the farm, the stars, or the strange plants they grew. She began to see a world beyond survival, a world where trust and hope could exist. Yet even in safety, fear lingered at the edges of her mind. Would someone come from the city to claim her? Would she fall back into old habits of stealing just to survive? The human seemed to sense her thoughts, placing a hand gently on hers. "You are learning to live, not just survive," he said softly, "and you are not alone." Days turned into weeks, each one blending into the next. Her body grew stronger, her hands more skilled, her mind sharper. The city became a distant memory, a shadow of fear she no longer recognized. She laughed quietly for the first time in years, small chuckles that felt strange but real. By night, she lay on a warm bed, the human nearby, quiet and watchful. The farm had become more than a place to work. It was a place to grow, to learn, to trust. And deep inside, she began to feel something unfamiliar: hope. She wondered if she could ever repay the human for his kindness, for the chance at life he had given her. But she knew one thing for certain: she would not return to the streets. She would not steal. She had discovered something far more valuable than food or shelter. She had found a place to belong. The offer. The human led the alien girl through narrow streets, leaving the neon-lit city behind. The farther they walked, the quieter it became, until only the sound of their footsteps echoed. At last, they reached the outskirts, where the city's decay gave way to open land. Here, alien crops glowed faintly under soft artificial lights, strange and beautiful. The air smelled of soil and life, a sharp contrast to the damp, metallic stench of the city. The girl froze, taking in the rows of plants that shimmered with colors she had never seen before. "This is my land," the human said, voice calm. "I grow what people need. I protect what I can." He turned to her, eyes steady. "I could use someone to help me." The girl's eyes narrowed, suspicion mixing with curiosity. "Help you?" she repeated. "Why would you help me?" He shrugged, as if it were obvious. "Because no one else will, and because I can." The girl felt a chill, unsure if she should trust him. In the city, everyone wanted something from her, wanted her stolen goods, her obedience, or her life. No one had ever offered help freely. No one had ever asked what she wanted. She swallowed. "And what do you want in return?" "Work," he said simply. "By day, you work the fields. By night, you rest here, safe and fed." The girl's stomach twisted, both from hunger and the strangeness of the offer. Safe, fed, and I don't steal anymore? She asked, disbelief in her voice. Yes, he said, nodding. If you want, you can stay close. Not as a servant, but as someone who chooses to be here. Her mind raced, thinking of the cold nights in the city, the hunger that clawed at her every day. She remembered the guards, the gangs, the other thieves, all waiting to take everything from her. Could she trust this human? Could she leave the streets, the only world she had known, for this strange life? She wanted food, warmth, safety, but she had learned long ago that no one gave anything for free. Her lips trembled. And if I try, if I fail, you won't fail, he said quietly. I will guide you, teach you, and protect you. The girl looked down at her hands, small and calloused from stealing. She had never worked for anyone, never trusted anyone, never dared to hope, and yet something in the human's eyes told her he meant what he said. The rain from the city streets seemed a distant memory, replaced by a calm, soft breeze. A strange warmth spread through her chest, hope creeping in where fear had always lived. I'll do it, she said finally, voice shaking but firm. I'll work your fields by day. And, if you want, I'll stay close at night. The human smiled, not a cruel grin, not a mocking smirk, but a real gentle smile. You have courage, he said, and you will learn more than just farming, but I cannot promise it will be easy. The girl's heart pounded, fear and excitement mixing in a strange, heavy cocktail. For the first time, she felt a flicker of something she had almost forgotten: trust. As they approached the small cabin at the edge of the glowing fields, the girl glanced back toward the city. Its dark towers and flickering neon seemed like a world she no longer belonged to. Her hand tightened around the stolen bread she still carried, a symbol of her past, and with a deep breath, she stepped forward into a life that might finally give her a future. She did not know what challenges awaited her or how her heart would change, but for the first time, she believed that she could survive without stealing and maybe, just maybe, thrive. The stolen meal. The city streets were dark, wet, and empty. Neon lights flickering over broken pavements. Rain fell in thin streams, making the air cold and heavy. A small alien girl ran silently through the alleyways, her blue skin glistening under the dim lights, silver hair sticking to her face. Her stomach growled painfully, each step reminding her how hungry she was. She clutched a stolen loaf of bread tightly against her chest, feeling the warmth slipping away. Her eyes darted around nervously, afraid the city guards would see her. Every corner she turned was a shadow, every sound a potential danger. She had no home, no family, no money, nothing to protect her from the cold. The alleyways were her world now, a place where survival meant stealing, hiding, and running. She stopped behind a stack of crates, catching her breath. Her heart thumped in her chest like a drum. From somewhere far away came the sound of boots echoing. The guards were near, their heavy steps scraping against the wet pavement. She pressed herself against the cold wood, praying they would pass without noticing her. Minutes felt like hours as the patrol passed by. Her breath slowed, and for a moment, relief filled her chest, but she knew she could not stay in the alley forever. The city was dangerous, and she was a small, weak girl. She whispered to herself, I just need one meal, just one night. Suddenly, a shadow fell over her, and she froze. She looked up slowly, expecting to see a guard, a thief, or someone who wanted to hurt her. Instead, a human man stood there, tall, with rugged clothes and eyes that shone like steel. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not yell or scold. He simply looked at her. The girl's heart skipped a beat, fear mixing with confusion. Why are you stealing? The human asked quietly, voice calm but firm. Her lips trembled and she swallowed hard. I have no thing, no food, no work, no home. I steal to survive. The human nodded slowly, as if he understood more than she could say. He bent down slightly, looking her in the eyes. I might be able to help you, but it will not be easy. She stared at him, unsure whether to trust him. His presence was strange, comforting, yet also filled with a quiet power. The rain continued to fall around them, making the city seem even darker and lonelier. I don't ask for loyalty or for anything you cannot give, the human said. I only ask for honesty and effort. The girl shivered, not from cold, but from the weight of his words. Something in her told her this human was different from everyone else she had met. No one had ever offered help without taking something in return. Her hands tightened around the stolen bread, unsure whether to keep it or trust this stranger. Finally, she whispered, I'll try. If you can help me, I will do anything to survive. The human extended a hand, not demanding, just waiting, patient and firm. Her eyes met his, and for the first time in many nights, she felt a small spark of hope. The city seemed less dark, the shadows less threatening. She knew this moment could change her life, if only she had the courage to take it. And slowly, trembling but determined, she reached out her hand, taking the first step toward a life she had never dared to dream of. The trial of fire. The farm lay quiet under the pale light of dawn, but the calm was deceptive. The alien girl moved through the fields, senses alert, every rustle of leaves making her pause. She had survived battles, secrets, and mercenaries, yet she felt a new unease. The human walked beside her, silent but vigilant, as if he could feel the tension too. The glowing crops shimmered softly, responding to their presence, alive with energy. She glanced at him, eyes questioning, and he nodded, understanding her fear without words. A sudden tremor shook the ground, small at first, then growing. The girl stumbled, hand brushing the glowing leaves, heart racing. The human's eyes narrowed, scanning the horizon, muscles tense, ready. Then they saw it, a massive shadow moving toward them, twisting and enormous. It was not human, not any alien she had seen. It was a creature of pure energy, pulsing and glowing, drawn to the life and power of the farm. The girl froze, awe and fear mixing in her chest. The human took her hand, steadying her, voice low but commanding. "We face it together," he said, "not just as protector and rescued, but as equals." The creature advanced, shaking the ground with every step, energy crackling around it. The girl felt the hum of the earth beneath her, the pulse of the glowing crops. She realized the farm itself was alive, connected to her, to him, to everything they had fought for. Strength surged in her veins, courage replacing fear. The creature struck, energy lashing across the field, scorching the ground. The human countered, using precision and strategy, every move calculated. The girl moved with him, striking at the creature's weak points, using her agility and the farm's energy. They were a single unit, human and alien, trained by survival, bound by trust, fueled by hope. The battle raged, shadows twisting, light flashing, the glowing plant. As reacting to every strike, she saw the creature falter, confused by their unity, unprepared for their bond. With one final coordinated strike, they channeled the energy of the farm into the creature, forcing it back. The creature screamed, a sound that shook the valley, then vanished into the sky. The girl collapsed to her knees, chest heaving, sweat and energy clinging to her skin. The human knelt beside her, brushing glowing dirt from her hair, voice calm. "You were incredible," he said softly, pride and awe in his tone. She looked up at him, heart full, realizing she had grown far beyond the girl who had stolen to survive. We did it," she whispered, tears forming, a mix of relief and triumph. He shook his head gently. "No," he said, "we did it together, because we trusted each other, because we believed in life, hope, and humanity." The morning sun broke over the horizon, painting the glowing fields in gold and silver. The farm pulsed softly, alive and vibrant, a testament to courage, resilience, and unity. The alien girl stood, holding the human's hand, looking at the world with new eyes. She understood that survival was not enough, that life was about choice, trust, and the bonds we forge. The human smiled at her, eyes reflecting pride and love. They had faced enemies, shadows and creatures beyond imagination, yet together they had risen stronger. The farm shimmered, the fields alive, the air humming with possibility, and the girl knew, without doubt, that whatever came next, they would face it together, unbroken, unstoppable, and free. Legacy of light. The sun rose slowly over the glowing fields, painting the world in gold and silver. The alien girl stood at the edge of the farm, eyes scanning the horizon, heart full of hope and anticipation. The battles, the storms, the shadows, they had all come and gone, yet the lessons remained. Beside her, the human adjusted the straps of his gear, calm, steady, and unwavering. They had survived enemies, mercenaries, energy creatures, and the dangers of the unknown. But this day felt different, a moment suspended between past struggles and the future they would build. From the distance, a ship descended, sleek and glowing, not hostile, but commanding attention. The girl's pulse quickened, uncertainty mingling with curiosity. The human stepped forward, hand brushing hers, a silent promise of protection and partnership. The ship landed gracefully, and figures emerged, their faces hidden but their presence unmistakable. They were emissaries from distant worlds, seeking not to conquer, but to witness. Witness the farm, the unity of human and alien, the courage and hope that radiated from this place. The girl felt a surge of pride and humility, realizing how far she had come. Once a thief, driven by hunger and desperation, now a guardian of life and hope. She looked at the human, eyes shining. We did this," she whispered, voice trembling with awe. He nodded, smile soft. Not just survived, but thrived, because we believed in each other and in what we could build. The emissaries approached, speaking in a language of light and sound. They offered gifts, symbols of respect and alliance, technology, knowledge, and tools to protect and grow. The girl accepted, her hands steady, heart swelling with responsibility and determination. But the true gift was the recognition, the acknowledgement of their bond, their courage, and their spirit. The human looked at her, eyes reflecting pride, love, and wonder. "You've grown stronger than you know," he said quietly, voice full of reverence. She smiled, warmth flooding her. "I couldn't have done it alone," she admitted. They had faced enemies and shadows, survived storms and mercenaries, and yet here they stood, unbroken, unstoppable, free. As the twin moons began to rise, casting silver light over the fields, the farm shimmered, alive, glowing brighter than ever, a beacon of hope in a universe that often feared the unknown. The girl walked through the fields, feeling the pulse of life, the energy of growth, and the promise of tomorrow. The human followed, steady and strong, their hands brushing together, a silent bond of trust and companionship. They had created more than a farm, more than a home. They had built a legacy that would inspire others, across worlds and species. The emissaries nodded in respect, leaving behind words that could not be spoken, but felt deeply in the heart. And as night fell, the farm alive with glowing light, the girl and the human stood side by side, looking at the horizon, knowing that their journey was only beginning. For every challenge faced, every danger overcome, had forged something stronger, a testament to courage, compassion, and the enduring power of choice. The alien girl smiled, eyes shining with determination and love. The human smiled back, quiet, confident, proud. Together, they had risen from shadows, defeated fear, and created a life worth protecting. And under the glow of the twin moons, the farm pulsed with life, hope, and the unbreakable bond of humanity. They had stolen nothing, saved everything, and in doing so, had become more than themselves. They had become a story, a legend, a light for all who would come after. And the universe, vast and unknown, watched, awed, and inspired.